Hello, this is Pastor Matthew Woods from Grace Lutheran Church in New Albany, Indiana, and this is the weekly devotion for October 11th, 2021. Today's title, Learn From Me. This morning, I've learned that two of my mentors have passed away here of recent days. One was my Taekwondo instructor of many years, Mr. Joe Sanders, who died at the end of August, as it turns out. Also, my DCE, Director of Christian Education, from my home congregation in Michigan, St. Trinity, Richard Schemp has passed away. Back when I was young, I called both of them Mr., and to this day I probably would have a hard time thinking of either one without was saying the way Mr. Schemp or Mr. Sanders. That's sort of the way I'm wired with both of them. Well, these two people were active in the earliest chapters of my life and very influential in my life in those days. These were two people that couldn't be more different in many ways, but also they never met each other except through me, really, kind of that 6 degrees of separation kind of thing. But needless to say, their impact on me was tremendous. And this is what brings to mind today the words of Philippians chapter 4, 8, and 9, which are going to be our text for this morning. They get me thinking about these two. It says, Paul writes, "Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice, and the God of peace will be with you." So let me take you down a little trip of memory lane today. I'd like to first talk about Mr. Sanders, my Taekwondo instructor from many years ago. He and his family lived in our neighborhood and pretty much just down the road. My first impression of Mr. Sanders was intimidating. I would later learn that he liked looking the part of a strong person. It was a kind of persona that you sort of got used to after a while. In reality, he was a good-humored man with a very compassionate heart, especially for his students and their families, those like myself, for our family, in fact. For a few years, 12, 13 years or so, when I was that age, he hired me to help him out around his house, to help with some of the landscaping and outdoor work and things of that nature. We were constantly moving rocks in order to dress up his garden, which he had sort of made into sort of like a Japanese style Zen garden vibe. I don't even know how to define it. We were always moving those rocks in order to kind of fill that vibe or fix that overall picture that he had in his head. Now, I can't remember if he ever finished his garden, but I can say I had plenty of pinched hands and lots of bruises from those stinking rocks. That's for sure. When Mr. Sanders and his family moved to the area because of his job change, he moved away from his students back in Cleveland, Ohio, which he proudly called the Cleveland Wrecking Crew. I never really know if this is something he embellished on, which he was known to do, or if his Cleveland students were really that good. But by the mid-'80s, I was about 15, 1985, give or take, he started a new school for Taekwondo and invited us to join, myself and my cousin, anybody that wanted to join from the family, of course. Well, the classes taught us to do break fall, and to block and to punch and to kick, and lots of kicking, hours and hours that would leave my body feeling wrung out like a wet towel. After class, though, we would go back to the Burger King and spend an evening at supper together afterwards, just talking and shooting the breeze. And that's when he literally let his hair down. He would just sort of let it all hang out and have some fun with us, just talk plainly. All that intimidating persona would melt away. And he would just get to be an ordinary guy, talking with him. I think this was his favorite part because he was very social. He was just kind of just like people. He liked them. For the next 15 years, he would push me to my absolute limits, physically and mentally. But over those years, he taught me confidence. He helped me with boldness and with lots of discipline, how to measure myself, if you will, against an opponent or an obstacle. The higher belts, everything went kind of adjusted by rank. So the higher belts always got a yes, sir. So respect and honor were highly regarded in class as well and enforced. When we got in trouble out of line, we did our share of duck hops. We hopped up and down, or duck squats, which would make our legs burn, or running, or whatever it is that we had to do. But in the end, it was all meant to sharpen us up, and it did. I could go on about our tournaments, and I could make sure that I can tell you that he made sure that I got to join a class in St. Louis when I went to seminary with other instructors that he knew. It's all more than I have time for today, and you can't capture someone like this in a few minutes, but I wanted to tell you about him. I wanted to introduce you to him. But let's just say I learned a great deal from Mr. Sanders, and his impact is still felt in my life to these days. The second person I want to talk about is Mr. Schimpf. I met Mr. Schimpf when we moved closer to another Lutheran church that was closer to home in Clarkston, Michigan, by the name of St. Trinity Lutheran, and moved in there about 1985 is when we met. Little did I know that after meeting Mr. Schimpf, that meeting him would literally change the course of my life in a very dramatic way. It was during this time that I got to know our new youth group in DCE, same time period as I knew Mr. Sanders also. So a lot of things were coming together at this point in my life. A little afterward, I was 15, I guess, when we got to meet him. My sister, my cousin, we all met Mr. Schimpf. He could have not been more different than Mr. Sanders. He never had an intimidating look on his face, never thought that way. He was always sort of open and comfortable to be around, and he just instinctively made you feel welcome. He was in many ways one of the godliest people that I have met and had come to know. He was a great encourager. He was very good with the youth, with us, and very good with me, who was very immature in the faith, very new to the faith at that time. He was gifted with people because he made them feel welcome, made us feel comfortable, and that caught my attention, because that's what we value, it seems like, when we go places. Someone there to greet us and make us feel welcome. Well, he was also a very confident man. He was humble, and he was unassuming. He did not brag or boast about anything except whatever came out of the work of the Lord. He had a huge heart for youth. Months after moving to St. Trinity, there was a Michigan youth gathering that was being set up at Mackinac Island, and we sort of came in kind of late to the whole registration thing, but he made sure, and he was adamant, that we got to go, and we did. And he knew that by being together, we would benefit from that trip, by being together with the other youth and getting to know them, and it would integrate us a lot more and help us feel like we were part of that group. And it did. It worked. But Mr. Schimpf was a teacher. He was a leader. He believed in me as someone who could be a pastor. He made sure I got speaking parts when we had youth activities or youth plays or skits up front. He made sure that I'm the one that got a speaking part. Now, I mumbled a lot back then and maybe still occasionally do, but he would occasionally have to stop me in the middle of my speaking parts and when we practiced to, quote unquote, get the cotton out of my mouth. Talking with clarity and with volume was something that he helped me do, and it all kind of started under his watch. At the age of 17, Mr. Schimpf took the time to drive me up to Ann Arbor, Michigan, to the Concordia Ann Arbor there at the school, and introduced me to professors who would talk with me about the pre-seminary program. I don't really know exactly if this is all Mom was aware of the whole spectrum of this trip, but he seemed to know those professors. He knew what he was up to, and he knew that I had potential for the ministry. So we sat in a class, and we got to visit with the professors at lunch and talk with them, and they filled us in on college life in Ann Arbor. Mr. Schimpf's own family had gone to that college, so he knew it well. But when we came home, Mr. Schimpf, he made sure that we had a packet of information about the college and, coincidentally, application papers. The next thing you know, I'm headed to Ann Arbor, and I'm enrolled in their pre-seminary program, and that kick-started that one trip, by the way, kick-started me on a journey that has led me ultimately here to Grace. Mr. Schimpf was a great support all the way through college and all the way through seminary, and he was a very influential part of that. What I would like you to know this morning is this. When Paul encourages us to think of whatever is true and noble and right and lovely, admirable, excellent, or praiseworthy, I remember very much these two men who helped me as a teenager reach into parts that I didn't know I had, to reach the level of understanding about myself and about ministry, ultimately. I am grateful to have known them and grateful for the foundation that they helped create. They were strong mentors and good teachers. And so I think about them in the same sense that Paul presents here in Philippians 4. And Paul goes on, whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice, and the God of peace will be with you. Well, I don't practice my kicks and my punches anymore, but I have not forgotten how to focus my mind on what counts. I have taken what I have learned and applied it to learning the Word and becoming a teacher myself. As a pastor, that's part of the job. Now, it's funny how you remember things sometimes. I remember these two men more like a highlight reel than just a plain old memory, probably because of the impact that they have left on me. I have fondly and gratefully taken those things that have been passed down to me, and I've made them my own. I have put them into practice, those many things that I've learned over those years from those two. I've tried to put into practice the confidence, their compassion, their desire to teach others what I have learned, their joy in seeing their students develop and grow and succeed, and their passion for their work and their ability to inspire. And so as I round this out today, I appreciate your patience in going down this little trip of memory lane. But I'm here today just to say, more or less, thank you. Thanks to the Lord for such people. And if any of the family of either one of these individuals, these two men, get wind of this video or see it, let you know I'm very thankful. Please note that I'm grateful to have known them. Lord willing, our youth and those family members, people we know, will find such people, such individuals who love their students and want the best for them and want them to succeed and are so able to pass down what they know and their knowledge and to do some good so that it becomes an intricate part of their lives as well. We could hope for such things in our youth today. We could use more people like these two fellas. So anyway, thank you for being with me today. Peace to you and in and through Jesus Christ our Lord, and may the Lord be with you each and every day. I'm Pastor Woods. Thanks for being with me today, and God bless you. Bye-bye.